like to now call this meeting, October 8th, of the Sustainability Commission to order. Betty, can you please read the roll?
Alderperson Quigley is excused. Commissioner Black.
Here.
Commissioner Henry Gillis is excused. Commissioner Lawton is excused. Commissioner Slavin.
Here.
Commissioner Van Schindel.
Here.
Commissioner Weber.
Here.
Advisor Metzler.
Here. Public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Sustainability Commission. Is there any public comment? And asking for a second time, is there any public comment? And for the third time, is there any public comment? All right, moving on to our action items. Approval of the September 10th, 2024 Sustainability Commission meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. Consideration.
Couple.
Betty.
Commissioner Black.
Yes.
Commissioner Slavin.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Schindel.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Consideration and possible action on extending or terminating contract for food composting services with Greater Green Bay Compost.
Yes, so this item was referred back to staff in September in an effort to facilitate further discussion with Greener Bay Compost and the city. Greener Bay Compost indicated they will terminate their contract with the city of De Pere at the end of 2024. We received further clarification that while they won't partner with the city anymore on the subsidized registration fees for their residents, they will continue to serve the residents of De Pere even if they aren't partnered with the city in a formal contract. In lieu of continuing the contract between the city of De Pere and Greener Bay Compost, it was suggested that the city start a reimbursement program where the city reimburses subscription fees for our residents who are still partaking in utilizing the Greener Bay Compost services. What they could do then is submit their invoices on a quarterly basis to the city for review, and then we'd cut a check to them for reimbursement directly, cutting out the middleman of having Greener Bay Compost do the administrative work that they're looking to avoid. Following up on the numbers from last month, we just got our invoice from Greener Bay Compost yesterday. We've went down from 66 registered residents down to 63 in September. Our invoice fell from $804 to $771. If you extrapolate that over a year, we're looking at $900 or $9,500 about for a year-long basis. So room to grow, room to bring on more residents. The poundage did go up. We've diverted 2,402 pounds from the landfill, which then equates to a savings of $64 in trucking fees and landfill fees. So you can see our recommendation in the memo here. We recommend that the commission votes to terminate the contract between the city of De Pere and Greener Bay Compost effective January 1st, 2025, and approved the draft letter to residents explaining the situation. In lieu of continuing the contract, the city would then plan to utilize the $12,000 budgeted for 2025 to start up the reimbursement program. And then we would reimburse half the subscription fees for residents of De Pere. Upon approval, staff will then submit the letter that's included with this packet to the residents who have registered through Corey and who he provided as part of our program for confirmation they are residents. And with that, I'll open it up to discussion with the commission.
I just had one small change with the letter.
Absolutely.
Maybe just to remove the word termination and just say like discontinuation.
Discontinuation.
No, it's
softens it.
Yeah.
What happens if there are more people than we have funds for? Like, how are we managing kind of like that cutoff?
It would be first come, first serve.
For the
Resident
reimbursement?
number one would be slotted for their whole year of participation, and then we would keep going down until I effectively couldn't reimburse the next resident who's registering.
Okay, so
if
do
I
the
were to
same
drop,
annual projections?
Yep.
Like, okay.
Exactly. And if we drop a resident midway, then we can then let the people know. I'll have contact info that, hey, we can now extend your fees through this many more months.
Okay.
And then just go down the list like that.
So Chase, your plan is still to be getting that list from Corey and not having them just paid based on the invoices they submit quarterly?
We would no longer participate with Corey. Residents would need to coordinate through the city directly. Corey does
Right.
no longer
Okay.
want to correspond.
So I guess I was under the impression that we would pay based on when invoices were received.
Exactly. I have the starting list of who we have today dating back to when we started the program. So that would be what we base it off of. And then I would build off of that moving forward as we get invoices quarterly.
Okay, so you won't necessarily know someone is participating or wants to participate in the reimbursement until they send you a request for a reimbursement.
Right. It would be, I think I put the months here, April, July, I forget, but
Yeah.
that first that month comes and I get this inundation of invoices, then I'll know who's all there and I can verify and project out. And then with email and the options we gave, there'd be a timestamp, then I can first come, first serve it.
So it would be on new participants to reach out to get added?
Or just submit the invoices for review. They wouldn't necessarily have to reach out. It would just be automatically queued up if they.
Could there be a scenario where all of a sudden there's a bunch of people that send in an invoice that,
Absolutely.
right? So I'm wondering, is there a way to, I don't want to add another step because this is already adding another step for residents.
Right.
But I'm wondering if there's a way to do like a sign up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Indicate interest. Sort
yeah, I think from the resident side so that you have comfort in knowing you're actually going to get reimbursed.
of. Right.
Not just, oh, I don't know for sure how this goes, or I don't know if I'll get reimbursed. I don't know if I'm voicing
Sign up and you
it.
get a confirmation.
Right.
Or they would get a confirmation, both sides would know.
And then we could more easily manage, or just having, a pulse on how many people are participating.
Yeah, we can update the language on our website to, hey, email to indicate you're interested. We can then respond back within a day letting you know where you fall in the hierarchy and if we're able to reimburse for the year or how far we could reimburse.
Yeah.
That wouldn't take too much, I don't think.
Do you anticipate that being a administrative hassle, though? That type of stuff coming through?
I guess I will work with Chase on how he wants that set up. My gut feeling is if we're relying on the residents sending in their invoices, we're going to fall short
Yeah.
compared to being over. And I think the other issue we'll run into is how do new people that sign up know to be reimbursed? So we'll have to do a website push, a social media push, because we won't be getting that information from Corey anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
The onus is on the person who's participating, though. I mean, I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of a self-explanatory. Yeah. The other question I would have is, are we going to have verbiage that says, hey, this is only through the end of this year? Like, is this going to keep going on indefinitely, or do we need to talk about that, or just cross that bridge when we come to it?
It would be as part of the budgeting process that starts off in July annually, June-ish, July-ish, so we would know.
Wonderful.
So are we to make a decision?
Yes, so we'd have to make an action, definitely to, I guess, agree to Corey's request to terminate the contract. Ultimately, he's terminating it regardless of what we vote today. And then what our next steps would be, if we'd like to continue with the city reimbursing residents, if we'd like to stop partnering with Green Bay Compost, if we'd like to do some other plan, that'd be what we'd have to vote on today.
I make a motion to terminate the contract.
Okay,
I would second that.
is that with the continuation? Go ahead.
And does that include, just amend it to include approval of the letter with the change of termination to discontinuation?
Right.
Correct,
And then
yes.
continue with the reimbursement program, but done through the city?
Yeah, I would put that as the motion.
I would definitely agree with that. Shall we do a vote?
Yes, unless there's any other discussion.
Any other
of the
discussion
motion.
or comments? Okay,
Okay. Commissioner Black,
yes.
Commissioner Slavin,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Schindel,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the Clean Air Initiative update.
All right. Just getting organized. I had a lot on that last item. Okay, the intent of this item is again to allow the commission to discuss next steps, any updates pertaining to the Clean Air Initiative, observations and feedback that the commissioners have received at the local school districts. Commissioner Black provided the attached newsletter that's with the memo today that she wishes to send to the school districts to reaffirm the no idling campaign that kicked off last year. And then she also wishes to drop off bumper stickers at the schools to further advertise the no idling campaign. Internally, staff met last month with the district administrator for the Unified School District of De Pere, Chris Thompson, Noel Wentland, their director of buildings and grounds, and then Dawn Fuller, their finance director, to discuss the Clean Air Initiative and providing carbon monoxide detectors at the schools. They like the idea in the science room where they have active chemistry experiments where fire and different chemicals are present. The concerning portion of carbon monoxide detectors and the types that we provided to them was that only one room would be notified at a time if there was an issue. It wouldn't be a district-wide notice or a school-wide notice. So their fear is if a carbon monoxide detector would be triggered in the school, that it would be chaos as one room went off and then either the carbon monoxide spread room by room or as the students kind of lost it and had to evacuate one room at a time. So we're coordinating with Noel Wentland, the director of buildings and grounds, to get an estimate for a kind of an integrated system that would pick up carbon monoxide and notify both the school and the district all at once. It'd be a little bit more expensive of an option, but it would better suit their needs. Outside of the Unified School District of De Pere, staff also reached out to the principal of the Notre Dame Academy of De Pere to gauge their interest in their need for carbon monoxide detectors. They also indicated they were interested, and then we are trying to coordinate another meeting with their lead person to see how it best suit their needs. And we'll build off of what we learned with the Unified School District of De Pere in that meeting. So today's recommendation would be that the commission approves the attached No Idling Clean Air Initiative newsletter. Upon approval, staff would then reach out to the local school districts again and ask the superintendents for consideration and inclusion on social media for the districts. So, it's open to you all.
The No Idling Clean Air Initiative from last year, what was the general feedback? How did that go? Did they do anything with social media? Just general questions on how it went.
So long story short, it started with meetings with the superintendents, and they were on board. And then from there, it went to, they were fine with us sending a newsletter like this that they printed. A lot of the schools did print. And we did another one in January, I think it was, too. We also did some watching to see if idling had decreased. The overall feeling is no, it has not decreased. And that's the whole point of the campaign, right? So baby steps, right? So we're continuing with it. It got news coverage. So it was like a big thing, and I think my opinion is that we should stick with it. And I thought, the bumper stickers, I love them. I just thought that would be another visual that the school offices could have, and we could just put a little sign with it, to keep it on people's mind. If one person sees it and stops, that's great, so I don't want the whole initiative just to die out. I'd rather keep trying to do what we can. But
So when we send the newsletter, is that sending it to the school or to parents, or what happens with the newsletter, and then where does it go beyond there?
The superintendent has to approve it, and then
Okay.
from there, it goes to the principal, so he
Yep.
knows, and then they make sure it gets published in the newsletter. So, and
Okay.
a lot of times, so they're like quarterly things,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to find some.
Right.
So
Okay.
they
When
do
we sent
publish
it, they
them.
didn't necessarily let us know it got published
Right.
either, so we had to
Yeah.
follow up, and then like, oh no, this has all happened already. So then we had to dig
Okay.
back to find results. But
Did we reach out to them for feedback after to see if they got any feedback?
The only reaching out that we did at that time was because initially we wanted to do on-site awareness things, and we actually did a couple of those, but then we were getting like pushback, like we're having a hard enough time, just trying to get parents to go the right way, and
Yeah.
we're having so many other issues. So that's really, we haven't gotten feedback from them saying, hey, we think it's going great.
Yeah.
I think it's really for us to observe more. So that's what we've done. But
Okay.
if we do approve and send this, I could ask in my email, hey, is there feedback off of last year?
Yeah.
We're hoping to build and create a positive thing here.
Yeah, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
even if they're like,
Love.
hey, we got really good feedback from this age group, whatever it is, then can we do less work to make more of an impact? Is kind of what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's no harm in asking.
Did we have bumper stickers?
Yes, we have bumper stickers from the August Farmers Market.
Okay.
Quite a lot of them since that rained out and nobody was there.
Yep.
My only concern with the bumper stickers going to the schools is depending especially on the age group that they will be a source of like vandalism in the school. They're going to end up on signposts and walls and doors and different things like that. So devil's advocate of the school district, I don't know how they'll feel about that.
Do we get a say in where they send this letter, or you just send it to the superintendent and okay, so you can't like request, can you slide this over to the PTO or?
We can ask, but last time it went under their direction and we had no idea where
Okay.
it went. It just was gone.
It's up to them.
Yep.
Well, there's nothing to say that we can't take it to a PTO meeting, right? I mean,
Yeah, I kind of started to do that at the end of the summer. School was just ending. I was scheduled to speak at a PTO meeting, but then it conflicted with something else, and it was at Westy Pier, and she's like, we only have like 3 people that attend this meeting. So I'm like, well, okay, I canceled and I didn't reschedule, but yeah, any one of us could go and present at a PTO meeting. So, yeah. It is a good point about those bumper stickers.
PTO meeting might be a better location to bring bumper stickers because
Yeah.
you know it will be parents then.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you have any thoughts being in the school?
I think that brings a good point about that kids are just gonna stick them everywhere, but also I feel like it'd be a good way to get the word out too.
right.
And I feel like there's also a lot of things that people hand out that kids could do things with, but I don't know. I guess you always have to take that chance.
Right.
The guerrilla marketing or what do we call that?
Take a tip from a hip. Don't idle.
I'm just, I am thinking out loud here that I'm a mom. I drop my kids off. Usually I get to school early. I'm finishing a work call. It's through my Apple CarPlay. I never think to turn my car off. 1, it's cold. I want the heat. 2, I just don't think about it. And I do this stuff, right? So I'm trying to put my mind in a parent who, right, you got 1,000 things going on. Are they going to do this? Or is there
I
a
do
different way to message to them that it's not necessarily about I don't know, the drop-off line? Is there another place where they're always going or always driving or?
Well, but
just-
schools, the problem, it's a huge public health issue. And that air, that diesel, all those bad fumes is actually going in the air exchange at the school. And the amount of kids who have asthma who are actually literally suffering because of this. So what we're trying to do is create that awareness.
Yeah.
Bring that sensitivity that there's allowances for when it's really cold, you know? It lays out exactly how you should do it. And honestly, it's not that hard to do, and you're really not going to get that cold. But it's just really understanding this is a public health issue. It affects our kids, and it's just not good for them. So that's when I refer to baby steps, I understand that that takes a while
Yeah.
to gain that type of awareness and sensitivity.
One thing that was discussed last year, and I don't know how far it did go, is prior to bumper stickers, when they were doing outreach on the schools, we did make some yard signs, but we cannot put them on school property. School hasn't been allowing that. But the discussion was to find neighbors that live next to schools to
We
see
did
if,
that.
right, I know there were some signs
The
that did
people
go
were
out.
okay with it?
Yeah, we got out like 10 signs,
yeah.
probably around I think we did it around Dickinson.
Okay.
They're not there this year, but they were definitely out last year.
Yeah.
So especially if we could track maybe what neighbors they were given to and have a way of recontacting them. Hey, school's back out. Like, school's back up. Can you put your yard sign back out if you're willing to? Otherwise, we can pick it up and find another neighbor. But that might be something that while they're waiting there, if they're not seeing a bumper sticker on the person in front of
Yeah,
them,
you
maybe
need,
they're
like,
looking
the
around that
reminder.
they might see that on
Yeah.
a neighboring property as well.
Yeah.
If we were to make more signs, how much would that cost?
Well, right now we've just repurposed No Mo May signs, which Tony has been willing to do through the sign shop. If we had new ones made, they're like $2 to $3 each.
Okay.
And then we could work, I think they go up a little bit if we double side them, which I think would probably be in our favor to have two sides, have them double sided. But because we have a lot of yard stakes from the No Mo May signs, I would just need the sign part if we ordered them, which I think the yard stakes are like $2 each, so it would cut down on the cost.
Yeah, I think having some sort of visual reminder. And then I'm also thinking, like, is there a way, can you stand and give out bumper stickers, like, at the pickle line? You probably can't
They
do
won't
that
let
at the
us.
school. Yeah. As I say that out loud, I think that probably doesn't sound right.
Well, I mean, they could. It's not against the law. It's not like they can't, but they weren't receptive to
Yeah.
us being on the school grounds talking with the parents.
Well, I do think there's no harm in sending the newsletter. It's just what happens with it beyond that, and then what more do we want to do to get the messaging out. And then I think asking for feedback is probably good, because even if it's like, hey, I don't know if it's a tweak to the wording or people really resonated with this one thing, then we can latch onto that and do something with it.
Right.
Maybe we could put in the letter, if you would like a bumper sticker, contact us. Them, even if it's one or two people that say, hey, send me a bumper sticker, you know.
So the recommendation then would be to approve the attached newsletter with the added language to request a bumper sticker if you would like. And then staff would reach out to the superintendents in an email with the newsletter asking for their feedback on the Clean Air Initiative.
You don't have this for action.
Oh, I don't? How did I not? No consideration of possible action.
Then I
So can we not vote on it? Oh, no.
What's the problem?
Do we need to bring it to,
So my memo has consideration and action, which would allow us to vote on it, but the actual agenda does not have it as an action item.
should we,
So we can bring this back in November to make a formal action and approval to then,
That's okay, because it's right before things get cold, and people will be leaving their cars unlocked.
And maybe we can ask for feedback before then, and then if we need to tweak anything, we can have that feedback back for November.
can we vote? I don't think we can. Big Chief will know.
My suggestion is, since it's a discussion item only, you kind of refer it back to staff. I mean, it allows a couple comments, that feel things out and come back with the suggested edits at the next meeting and consider it and then vote on it then.
I'll go over the top then. We'll draft an email for you guys to review, and I'll update the newsletter, and we'll be ready to rock for next time.
Love it. You can send it.
That sounds great.
Apologies.
Great.
No, I apologize because when this was initially put on the agenda, it was just an update, and then the day before we published it, Gio sent us something, and it
I'm always
changed to action, and I missed the change. I apologize.
No, it's good. It's good to do it the right way. All right, so no other discussion on that item? Any comments or anything? All right, so moving along to discussing the clean energy work plan.
Yeah, again, this is just another opportunity for the commission to discuss the next steps and any updates pertaining to the clean energy work plan. Staff has nothing to add on this item, so.
Nothing yet. We will soon.
Yeah, nothing to add. Discussion on terrace tree species selection process.
Yes, Commissioner Henry Gillis had requested staff provide information on how the city selects types of trees that can be planted within the terrace between the curb and the sidewalk. The City of De Pere Parks Recreation and Forestry Department manages and maintains all our terrace trees. Included with this memo is let's see here, the arboricultural specifications that the City of De Pere follows, as well as the terrace tree order form that went out for fall this year.
Yep.
So in general, the Parks Department follows that manual that depicts the recommended tree lists and then the banned tree lists, Appendix E and F for the city. Building off of that then on an annual basis, the trees that are purchased for planting then depend on the, can't think of the word right now for the place you buy trees.
Availability from the nursery?
Availability from the nurseries, yes, from the tree nurseries. The city does not buy balled and burlapped trees, they're all bare root, so that also narrows the availability down. So in general, we have the overall manual that governs the things we do. We then depend on the nurseries to provide us trees, and it's their availability of what's in stock, and then we further reduce that down to bare root trees for location in the terrace. Our terraces themselves, they vary in width, so the manual restricts certain trees. We don't want a really big tree being planted in a 3-foot wide terrace, and then we would like to fill a bigger 15-foot wide terrace with a bigger tree instead of a little decorative one. So that's all outlined in this manual. And then to bring that a little bit further, we do have laterals for every home that come from our road. We have sewer main, water main, and a storm sewer main. Each one of those lines has a pipe that extends to your house for service, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a future agenda item today. We don't want to plant the trees directly on top of those lines because in the future the city has to dig and replace those lines, and more often than not we have to take down the tree because the line's right on top of a water service and creating issues, or the tree roots are infiltrating into the sanitary sewer line that's coming from your home and creating ion issues. So there's a 10-foot buffer that the Parks Department wants from your lateral to your home to the open space. They want to plant the tree, and then that buffer has to extend 10 feet beyond the tree to the other
That's
side.
why I don't have
So,
a tree, I think. That's interesting.
yeah, so I learned a bunch. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. And overhead lines, you're right. So any other discussion on tree selection processes?
I have a comment from a De Pere resident that's more of an authority on this than I am, but I'm going to read you her comment. She said she would like to remain anonymous.
Okay.
But so she cited some serviceberry trees that are near the Union Hotel. They're in that kind of pretty little corridor, and she cited this as an example. Those are on the preferred list for under overhead lines, and she said any tree outside of a forest isn't going to do the best as one organism. So planting them on a hot concrete with metal grates at the root will make them suffer. They need an understory, they need fungus. How those specific ones were planted are like planting a tree in the desert. So to the agenda item about which trees are, how we decide which trees are preferred, I'm not sure if this helps the discussion. It may, because this is a very specific spot that these are not thriving. But the comment came with the idea that maybe when we partner with residents to plant and kind of in the right of way, maybe there's a care packet or something for that specific tree that can go with it. So it doesn't totally speak to that agenda item, but
So to build on that, the James Street corridor there, Mayor Walsh's Plaza, that was publicly bid to be constructed that way. It originally was designed by a landscape company, I'll just say, bid by Public Works and then reviewed by the Parks Department before it all got planted. As part of an annual tree planting program, that corridor wasn't really part of that process. It was specifically built to make this nice artsy walkway and seating area for residents with the water wall and the wind art. So those trees weren't selected through the same process that we're discussing, but I understand the concerns with how they were planted.
My question to this would be completely understanding the recommended trees, the banned trees, the height, the size of the right-of-way, whatever's underneath it. Specific to the cultivars that are chosen, are there options? I mean, I know there are options. What are our options to find nurseries that could provide bare root native options for these rather than the cultivars? That is something, is that something we could look into, knowing that that would help continue what the Sustainability Commission is doing? Obviously, if you can get away from a cultivar, that's always ideal.
Speaking with our forestry department, they are adding more nurseries to their list in this upcoming year, so they're hoping to have more diversity. Everything else kind of went above my head on that. So,
No.
that's
So,
about all I can-
like for example, if you're looking at a service berry or looking at Commissioner Henry Gillis,
Yes.
she and I have spoken about this
talk
previously.
about
If you're looking at a service berry or some of the other ones that you could pick in there, we have options, but they are not the native options. So you're picking like the more, hybridized
I
version
think
of
that's
it.
why, I think that's why I asked of like what goes into it, because
Yes.
you can control those things with the cultivar versus the native,
Exactly.
where it gets a little wild.
Yes.
So
It's just, I think, our due diligence as the Sustainability Commission to find what are those options, and it might take a little more research, but maybe on some of these, hey, there is a more native version that would work, and if there is, we should probably be doing that, because that goes along with the work that we're doing with getting rid of no-mow May and instead saying, hey, plant natives. This would go alongside that, so.
If you wouldn't mind sending me that question in an email,
I absolutely
can.
can,
get that to
yes.
the correct people to answer.
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry,
Just-
got technical
That's
there.
fine.
I have one other comment that
Yeah.
I cannot get technical like that, but I think it was on page 61. It talks about the other it might be 61. The other committees consulted with. I know there's a streetscaping committee, and I'm sure there's other ones that maybe could be consulted with, if that's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
there.
And then the Board of Parks Commissioners too also meets, so there are.
I'm just thinking from, like, if I was a staff member reading this, like, who should I consult? I would look at that and be like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure who I should consult because it's not listed.
Any other comment or discussion on that item?
Thank you, Chase.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was really
That
good.
was very good.
Learned
All right.
Cultivars.
All right, moving on to discussion on September Farmers Market booth.
Yes, just given the opportunity for the commission to discuss their experience at the September 19th Farmers Market booth.
I thought it was fun.
Stormwater awareness.
Harvey, my son, colored the whole farmer's market with the chalk.
I sure did.
But he tried really hard. Like, he was the one hustling to make people aware that we were there to talk about that issue. So I think he got 2 of the people to sign up. So it was really good.
That was so good. He had that little sign that he made, a little piece of paper. Honestly, we should have posted a picture of that. No, it was really good. I was there, and the people that did get engaged. There was a family with little kids and stuff. They were very engaged. So it was It was good, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, we either handed out the pamphlets or we talked to them like into signing up, kind of. And it's hard at the farmers market because we get people to sign up with interest, but then they don't live in De Pere. So I think we just try and get people to sign up and maybe don't worry about that part.
We did have a lot of people say that they're already doing it, but did not sign up.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Did not either did not want the recognition or didn't want to be like responsible or strapped to the commitment of it. So there were a lot of people that said they already go out and clean the storm drain in front of their house, but they didn't sign up for the program.
Yeah, that's true. I've also talked to 2 or 3 other residents since that I've tried to convince to sign up. And they're like, oh, yeah, I do that. I'm like, okay, you need to sign up, though. So, like, we can be like, look, we have this many community members doing it. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's another angle, is coming up with something that would encourage them to. So like, if you sign up, then it's gonna help build that awareness. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's the win, but you know, that it almost has to be, what's the win for them if they sign up? Because they are gonna feel the obligation a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about like the incentives last time, and I did a little bit of research just on what other areas do, and there was a lot of like tiered programs. So if you do like 12 logs that you cleaned up, you get a t-shirt. If you do 24, you get whatever. So it was just like a tiered incentive program. So I wonder if people who are already doing it but don't want to sign up, if there's something that could incentivize them to sign up
Yeah.
so that we could get the documentation.
Yeah, the video that's coming out.
Did you do a video?
Oh, yeah, I did.
It-
Yeah, I don't know if
I
that's...
want to ask, but I don't know if I should.
It's a little off topic.
Yeah, that's why we need...
Okay.
No, I think it was good. I mean, you were there with Quigley after us, and I mean, you guys talked to people too. The weather was nice, so people were there. So I think it was a good use of the booth.
We did also get the comment that no matter what we have out there, we should have chalk. Because it did bring a lot of kids over and they were having a lot of fun with that.
That's a good thing to note.
I also saw some cities do, instead of the signs, they have like a chalk, the word's escaping me. Stencil that you can stencil in. I don't know if we thought about that too.
Ooh.
It's obviously going to wash away, but
Yeah, that's
Just
where the
laughing at
spray
Chase
paint.
hit
So
his head.
usually they do spray paint.
Habit,
Like
sorry.
they put that down and then they spray paint
Yeah.
on the sidewalk or the road.
yeah,
Yeah, chalk is an easy way to not make it permanent.
yeah.
Any more discussion on that item?
I still like my slogan of a proud parent of a storm drain, so that's still on the table.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, moving on to current sustainable projects.
Yes. So this is me going into cultivars in my world, so prepare for this.
Okay.
Brought up our inflow and infiltration issues that the city's experiencing at a past meeting, and I thought I'd bring forth a sustainable project we're currently running, and that's our foundation drain disconnection program. Through this program, residents are incentivized to disconnect foundation drains that are under their homes, under the basements, and install sump pump pits. And the purpose of doing this is to capture groundwater from being collected in a foundation drain under the home, because then we're treating clean groundwater because it's discharged into our sanitary sewer laterals, into our sanitary sewers, and that goes right to the treatment plant up by GVMSD. If we can reduce this flow, that's less water that's clean that the city's treating and paying to be treated on an annual basis. It improves the capacity in our pipes because during rain events, we've done flow monitoring. And the worst we've seen is 20 times, where typical dry day flow, it's a certain volume flowing through the pipe, and then rainstorm hits and that spikes 20 times the flow rate. And it's to the point where at the treatment plant, the plant itself is nearing capacity. And they're talking to all us municipalities that, hey, you need to get your inflow and infiltration under control, and that's what this groundwater is, to reduce the stress on the pipes, reduce the stress on the treatment plants, and overall reduce costs for everyone down the board. Otherwise, the plant will have to increase costs to treat all this extra fluid, build upon the plant more so it has the capacity to take on all this extra rainwater as we continue to develop and become more impervious. and upsize the pipes, which we don't want because that's expensive as well on a linear foot basis. So the background on this, inflow and infiltration, they're two different things. Inflow is water connected directly into a pipe. Say you have a downspout coming from your rooftop that's connected to your sanitary sewer line. We wouldn't want that. That is inflow. We're collecting rainwater directly from your roof and pumping it right into the sanitary sewer line. Infiltration is more like the tree root issue where we have in our terraces. You have a crack in the line or a joint. The tree roots are infiltrating and causing water then to infiltrate into the sanitary sewer line. So we're collecting additional water that way through the groundwater. And then conveying it directly to the sewage treatment plant that way. Foundation drains are a cross between these two because it infiltrates into the foundation drain system and then inflows directly into the sanitary sewer line. So it is estimated that about 50% of the city's I&I we experience comes from the private side. We have our own issues on public works as well. We go through and we line our manholes, we line our pipes, we relay defects as we find them to reduce inflow and infiltration. But on the private side, we estimate another 50% of that is coming from the resident side of things that we don't have that control over. So that's another incentive in providing the 80% payback to install foundation or install sump pumps and disconnect foundation drains. I included some figures here. It's estimated we spend a few $100,000 per year treating rainwater. The foundation drain program itself kicked off this year with the 80% payback for volunteering properties. Next year, it's going to become a mandated program. We're starting to lose interest from the residents themselves in volunteering to install sump pumps, where we're going to go through and we televise our lines to maintain them. If we see groundwater coming after a rain event from a resident's home, we will then flag them, indicate that, hey, you need to evaluate if you have foundation drains present or not. If you do, you'll have to disconnect them, install a sump pump, and we'll still pay 50% of that work. In general, homeowners are paying about $4,000 to do the work in total, and then the city is reimbursing around $3,000 as part of our program with the 80% payback. So yeah, that's kind of a big overview of the program itself. 2,400 residents were notified at the kickstart of this program. In total, I've spoken with about 1,200 residents since May of 2023. We're just crossed the halfway point. 71 properties in total have done the full program where they've installed the sump pumps and disconnected their foundation drains. And then outside of that, we're still continuing to reach out and connect with people. St. Norbert College, for example, owns a lot of properties that are in the older parts of town. 1985 is about when we started mandating sump pumps be installed as part of new home construction. So they just contacted the city and scheduled 30 homes to be evaluated if there's foundation drains present or not, and then they would move forward with the program. So all in all, it's a good thing we got going on. We're helping residents take inflow and infiltration, the groundwater from their home that's discharging into our sanitary sewer, and then bringing that up onto the grass where it can then infiltrate naturally or get to our storm sewer system and flow into our treatment ponds and rivers. So that's the FDDP for you all.
I think you hit on it, but is it homes built before 85 likely?
So we're seeing some homes all the way back in the mid 60s, late 60s that had sump pumps. But yeah, my mailing list was anything built before 1985, I thought was the threshold. Got included on this, and all they have to do is call and indicate they have a sump pump present, and then we'll review our files internally to see if we can find record of a plumbing permit back in the day or an inspection that was done that, hey, there's a sump pump on the little drawing. Or we can, worst case scenario, just walk around their house with their permission. Our first survey of this program, we just walked sidewalks and did drive-bys because people don't generally like us walking onto their property. But we narrowed down the mailing list down to 2,400, and I think of that, it's been narrowed down further. And we're in the mid, like maybe 1,800s total that we still have to evaluate and remove. But we're getting there. It's been baby steps, like we all like to say.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Very interesting. Any other discussion on that item? All right, moving on to pending Sustainability Commission items.
Yes, so I just wanted to kind of create a queue here showing items that we're working on that the commission has requested. On the urban orchard side of things, we're meeting with the Urban Orchard Committee tomorrow just to discuss pollinator gardens and then the proposals outlined by Selena of Rooted In. And then the Sustainability Commission wanted that introductory packet. We received Commissioner Weber's outlining for the subgroup rules. We're working with Quigley, or Alderperson Quigley, for the Roberts Rules of Order. And then we'll create the initiative history, as we've observed from the commission, to create an introductory packet for any new member. So if there's anything we're forgetting, feel free to let me know and I'll add it to my queue, but just trying to keep things in order.
Just a question, does Selena from Run It In know that you're having that meeting, or?
No, and this is an internal staff meeting, so, but I can,
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, it's kind of like a little update. It's a good thing,
right.
but I don't know how that plays into, per se, updating her, but.
The bigger driver for me is the pollinator gardens right now.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to discuss what Selena had outlined.
Okay.
That's been sitting out there in limbo, and now we got the whole group together and we can get the feeling on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I did hear from the head of the Urban Orchard Committee that all the signs have now been installed at all the urban orchards. So
I
I saw them
them.
when I drove
Yeah.
by, yeah.
It makes you almost look and go, what does that sign say?
You want to stop and go look.
That's exciting, I think. However, the fruit is needing some help, needs some love.
I found a good pear at one of them.
Oh, good.
I gave it
Did
to
you
somebody.
take Harvey and?
Yeah, we picked at the one on Voyager because I wanted to check out that whole house and all of that.
What do you think about that? Like, wow, apple trees.
I mean, we picked them at the high school when I was walking him to 4K.
Cool.
So
All right, any other discussion on that item? And then any future agenda items?
I'm going to bring back the Adopt a Drain program and the swag we could potentially do. Staff had also researched that internally about buckets and Adopt a Drain cleanup bucket. We can slap a sticker on the side of it, and Betty has it all planned out, so it's going to be
yeah,
cool.
she's got good ideas.
And then building on that chalk and stencil idea, that was cool too.
Have we gotten it? Is
like
it
a
like the
t-shirt
sign up live on the website? Sorry, I know that's not like a thing that we talked. I just
The sign up is not live because we did get approval from the legal department to actually include in our registration a waiver that they just have to sign off on the website that says that if they fall in the storm drain, they won't sue the city.
okay.
People are so risk averse.
So that'll be part of the registration, so we won't need to have them sign up and then send them a waiver and then send the waiver back in to finalize it. So it'll all be one fluid motion, and that just needs to get updated by me.
Cool. Thank you.
End of the TV commercial where the guy speaks really fast. We're not responsible.
That needs to be
I
in your
hope that's
video.
it. What?
That needs to be in your video.
Oh,
is
maybe.
the video a future agenda item or what?
Oh
Or is
yeah,
it
that's a good question.
I can
video
add
or
it.
Something?
And we like viewing part.
Yeah, why
together.
not?
Yes.
I knocked Quigley off like onto an air mattress in my road, like in front of my house.
Very sad that I missed this. Very sad.
All right.
Okay.
Any other future agenda items? All right. And then motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll move to close the meeting.
Second.
All right, meeting adjourned.